Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stassi. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited. This is the Disney Sims 11th time being here. Thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you. I'm officially at Townie Tales today.
I'm excited to talk about Tiny Tales. I got myself caught up yesterday because I was like,
Oh,
I want to read it. I want to read everything. What I like about the most of the story, it's more mature, which I super like, and we'll definitely get into that in a little bit. But for anybody, if this is their first podcast listening, welcome, welcome. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your Sims history?
yeah. So I'm Court, aka the Disney Sims. I've been playing since the game came out in like 1999, 2000, and I started my own Instagram account, the Disney Sims, in 2020 during COVID. And I have grown into having another account called Townie Tales. So yeah, I create things in CAS, and then I'm also a storyteller. And yeah, I really enjoy the Sims community. I'm also a builder. I'm an architectural drafter by trade, um, but I don't showcase my builds off as much. So
I was gonna say, like, you can't forget Builder. You sent me a beautiful build last night. You know what you also forgot? You forgot voice actor on that
oh
because now
yes,
you
I'm
can say you're a voice actor. My girl getting a part in the Reaper 4. Let's
yeah.
go. Okay, so before we dive into Tiny Toes, I have to ask, what was it like to get a script? I know you only had one line, but what was it like? Were you excited? Were you nervous?
Oh yeah, and was basically asked to play a ditzy girl, which I come by honestly. So it was pretty easy to do.
You are the opposite of a ditzy girl, okay? Like, let's be honest. When I think of ditzy, I
Thank
don't think.
you.
I would say, like, you're extremely intelligent. Out of like
Thanks.
people, you are welcome. But anyways, so who do you play?
I played Dina, and yeah, just a friend of one of a more prominent character in To Be Seen. It's going to be cool.
Are
It's airing
you?
today. Well,
Are
not
you?
today. Well, it's airing today our time, but not in the realm of when this comes out.
Yeah, no. I feel like the Reaper 4 will be done by then.
Yeah,
By the time this comes out, I don't. I hope so. I don't know. He's pretty quick. Like, I feel like you kind of
yeah.
go through spurts of like episodes and stuff. Um, but yeah, no, I'm so excited. Like, I had a couple people reach out to me being like, "Do you think I could get like a cameo role on this?" And I was like, "I can ask." OMG usually says yes to me. So, and then like I messaged you, and then he messaged me at the same time. He's like, "Oh yeah, hey, Stas, by the way, the Disney Sims is getting a roll." And I don't know what I was doing. I didn't have my phone on me, and I saw that, and I was like, and like threw my phone across the room, and I'm like, "Who's playing?"
Hey, look, ma, I made it.
Yeah. I appreciate it. That's another thing that now we're twinsing. That was my first ever voice acting role in the Sims
Oh,
community. That was
cool.
now,
Same here.
I know. I'm I'm so excited for this season. Do you know if you're going to be in any more episodes, or was it just like a one-off?
Well, I'm not sure if I mean, if Dina needed to come back, I would be interested in doing that. I don't feel like Dina has a lot of weight within the story, but if she did, I'd be happy to jump in.
Oh,
She,
I'll message him being like, Dina's got to come back.
yeah, Dina
Dina's got
has
to
an
be
epic backstory that he just hasn't created yet, right? Dina's badass, so
Dina's
yeah, bring Dina.
yes.
Yeah,
I'm excited. There's
she
so
totally
many
has final girl vibes.
nah, Amy's final girl.
Yeah, the ultimate final girl
I
vibes.
the ultimate.
Yeah, I know I would die. I feel like I'm very murderable. I have a very murderable voice, so
What?
we can make that happen.
Absolutely not. I was gonna say, I was like, he might be one of the girls that die. He'd be like, "Oh, her from the first episode died. We gotta solve the murder." I just hope
Yeah,
Amy just comes in and is like, "I will defend you, girl I've never met before."
exactly.
I just, I wish like, okay, I'm gonna pitch this to OMG Sims. I don't know how it's gonna go. I want to do a script reading of the like the first episode once the season's done, and we sit and we read our lines like
Oh,
as a
cool.
group. I think that would be super cool, and I think that'd be fun at this point because
I'd do it.
as we were talking about earlier, storytellers don't get mentioned a lot. You know what doesn't also get mentioned a lot? Fucking machinimas, man. They're like, what's that? What's that? What's a machinima? And I'm like, it's a movie. It's a story, but it's a
whole lot of work.
a fucking lot of work. Like a
Yeah.
lot.
Whole other level of talent. Like think that has to go into creating machinimas because you're basically the director, the videographer, like you're doing all of those things on your own for the most part. You're basically a whole production team in one person.
Absolutely. You have to do it. That's what you asked me earlier. If I was 20 and I had all the free time in the world, I'd say eh. But now I'm like, okay, I have a hard enough time getting chapters made at this point, let alone making, like, I might have 2 hours a week dedicated to that at max right now. And it's proficient. I've gotten very fast at them, which is good. I'd hope so, man. It's like, I'm making 130, between 133, between 132, 133, and 134. Because now I've learned I actually don't have to fill them and make them in consecutive order. If it's night, I do all the night ones. If it's day, I do all the day ones. You think that would have clicked in like the first year? It definitely did not.
That is so smart.
Oh yeah, well, because there's a whole bunch of night stuff coming, so I'd be like, well, I have to wait for the night, and I'd be like, nah, I don't. I'll just go do all the day stuff and then come back when it's night. Well, yeah.
But that's what production teams would think like, you know what I mean? Like you would go to one location, like House of the Dragon, you know what I mean? Like they would go to one location in Europe and probably film every single scene for the most part that happened in that location, regardless of what time it happens within the, the TV show.
That's 100% it. That's literally what I do now. So like there's a scene that will be in 130, 131, and 133. And I just did it as a continuous bit. And I was just like, photo, done. Photo, done. And then it makes life easier when you're actually doing those chapters. You're like, oh, I'm already halfway done. This is nice.
Yep. I've gotten a lot more efficient as well with making like I can make a season very quickly now. Before it used to take me months. And now if I'm inspired, I can just, zone out and get one done pretty quickly.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
How long does it take you? And what have you learned from per season?
Yeah, well, at first I feel like I would create things. So I would, make it not chapter per chapter, but like, a couple of stills. And then I would, take them out, edit them, and create the text and stuff for them. But now I've gone into planning it all out, taking all the stills at once, editing all at once, then putting all of the text together at once. And I'm just trying to be, combine all like things so that I can push them out faster essentially, and then put them in priority sequence. And they usually take months for me to go out anyway. I tend to post on a regular schedule daily. Yeah. So,
which is kudos to you for daily, man. I'm like two times a week
daily. Like Wednesdays or Mondays don't tend to be high engagement days on social media. So unless I'm just, have a lot of media that I'm trying to crank out to move on to something I'm more excited about, then I might forego that. If I'm really excited about the post and it's like, going to fall on a Monday or a Wednesday, I might just skip that day so that it'll have more engagement on the Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday, which tends to be the most high engagement days for me.
I like that. So for Rose Chronicles, it's Sunday and Thursdays. Don't know why.
Interesting.
Sunday at 9 a.m. best time. Don't know why.
Cool.
I have no idea. I stumbled upon it by accident because I think it was originally, I don't even remember. I think it was Wednesdays. I think it was originally Wednesdays. Because so that's the whole point with when I did podcasts, because Wednesday is the best day of engagement on YouTube. So I was like, oh, it's perfect. We'll just do Wednesday podcasts. I don't know, man.
I'm not in the YouTube world really, so I don't know much about that, but in Instagram, I haven't found Monday or Wednesdays to be an overly busy engagement day for me. It's not in my business work either. I find those to be low engagement days as well.
I would say from like my real job.
Yeah,
I wish this was my real job. I'd say Fridays are the best for us.
Same here.
Yeah.
And also if you were to research that, it's statistic that Friday tends to be the best. People aren't doing as much, they're on their phones.
Yes, exactly. Because like my boss was like, "Why do you post stuff in the afternoon?" I was like, "Because that's when people are on their phones because they hate their fucking jobs, so they're just they're on their phones." And he's like, "Oh, that's so smart." Or when I had to update our PPC, and he's like, "Why do you have it starting at from like 10 till 12 and then 1 to 3?" I'm like, "Okay, when you Google what our business does, do you do it at 9 a.m.? Because I don't think so. 9 a.m. is for coffee and contemplation.
Yeah.
12 to 1 is eating. Why are we paying
for going on
their break? For going on their break. Our decision makers are not thinking about the product we serve while they're eating their $12 lunch. Okay. Like we're not that awesome. We're not clothes and we're not alcohol. Now, if we were clothes and alcohol, I would say we have to ham in on those times when people are on their phones, but we have to get when people are not on their phones. And he's just like, wow, like that's so smart. I'm like, I learned that day 3 of my course. Like it's not fucking
thought-provoking.
Oh, a woman with free-flowing thoughts. Oh my god. Yeah, no. But anyways, I like that because what season is the Disney Sims in now? Is it like 6?
It's good. It's going into season 7. It just wrapped up season 6. And I have season 8 written.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But it's so a season for me in Disney World is based on how many chapters you can fit into. Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but you can create like a booklet within Instagram.
Yes.
And you can have up to 30 posts within that collection.
Yes.
And so I do 30 posts in total make up a season for me in the Disney Sims. I have changed it up with Townie Tales. It's I'll double it, so there'll be 20 episodes per season.
Okay, because like you gotta be coming close to the end of that, aren't you? For Townie Tales.
It's on. Well, currently, not when this comes out, but currently I'm showcasing chapter 15. So 15, we still have 5 more chapters left to go before it wraps up season 1. And then I'll have a little mini season about my 2 favorite characters, which are the Ulrich and Micah, the free spirits from Windenburg. So so they're usually roommates in the lore, but I've made them a couple, and they have a whirlwind romance story. So I'm going to dive into their actual story of seeing each other, because in the original season 1, I go over it high level, how they met, and then within 2 chapters it shows them getting engaged and them being happy, just because I put Ulrich through a horrible first introduction to her, so I wanted her to have her happy ending very quickly, and I won't be getting rid of that because I love her so much. So I
love that. So let's switch this over from a podcast to a story spotlight. This is the first audio one. I think I remember all the questions. I've typed them out a lot in the last week.
Nobody will know.
Just like answering. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Why don't you tell everybody what Tiny Tail? Oh my god, not Tiny Tales. Oh my god, Townie Tales is about.
I feel like Tiny Tales is something else. Anyway, I digress.
For sure, something else.
Townie Tales was something I created because through the Disney Sims, I had started including the Willow Creek townies, and I actually care a lot about the townies and the lore within the Sims. I'm always looking at who the new characters are when they come in, and I care about their background stories. So I decided to branch off into Townie Tales and just have the main cast be townies within the Sims and shy away from the Disney overall. But but obviously I'm not going to change the Disney Sims because that's why the people come. So for Townie Tales, my first few seasons will be focused around the Windenburg cast. So it's all of the townies that are in Windenburg, and mostly focused around, well, I guess it's not really focused on anybody. I would say I do a good job trying to have all of the characters have their, their day in the sun. But the Bear sisters, Candy and Yuki, are my stars. And then I also go into all of the other characters that I'm obsessed with. I'm happy to talk about any of them. It's hard to focus on any of them because I love them so much.
Oh, we're getting that to 2 questions from now.
Okay.
But I love Yuki. So I feel really bad. So I am like the worst Sims lore person. I have never played with townies. Ever. So I was looking at her, I was like, these townies? Because I've read this, I was like, I've seen her before. That's a townie. Like, again, I'm like the worst person. I love that. I also love when we're like in the community, we're seeing townie makeovers.
Yes.
Because they need it.
Yes, they do. Yeah. I've put like, meshes and eyelashes and nails and all that jazz, body hair, everything onto tattoos, you name it, cleavage.
Oops.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
So I have to ask, because this is a question I was thinking about the other day. So the Disney Sims have a very cartoony feel to them, which makes sense because it's a
big eyes.
It vibe, right? But the Townie too. Oh my god!
All
the
good.
Townie Tales.
Tongue twisters.
The Tiny Tales Sims obviously look like like Sims.
Yeah,
so
I didn't make too much of a difference to them. I wanted, well, some of them, I did revamp the Caliente sisters a lot because they were a little rough. So yeah, some of them will be a little bit more modified than others, but I do try to kind of keep them for the most part similar. I will Disneyfy them a little bit. I can't help it because it's just my style, but I do tend to keep their eyes smaller. I want people to look at my story and recognize, that that's Yuki or that's Luna or that's whoever, but some of them get a little bit more revamped than others.
I like that. Again, some Sims needed a lot more help. And some are just like, oh, they're fine. What Sim do you think needs the biggest makeover?
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, I'm just trying to think of who is the roughest looking. There are a few of them, but I also maybe Nancy Landgraf.
Yeah, 100% Nancy Landgraf.
I feel like she looks like she's going to a club, but it just doesn't match her personality. Like she gives boss bitch energy. And so like I feel like she would be dressed as like, a CEO that's about to, take all of your money, not somebody who's, going dancing at a club. So what the land grabs in general, including Johnny Zest, who is separated from his family. He went no contact. Anyway, yeah, they all could benefit from a makeover. I did make them over. I feel like I did do them justice. So.
You definitely did do them justice. I agree. That is definitely a good answer. Like I could not agree more. She should be a Fallon Carrington, not like a go-go dancer. Like
100%. So there's an example of one, but I could go on. Like there's quite a few of them that could look better.
I love that. Okay, so we're gonna talk about characters, as we just talked about giving makeovers. How do you develop your characters?
Yeah, so I am obsessed with Myers-Briggs tests. So I am an ENFJ, which means I'm a little bit more extroverted, a little bit more like intuitive, I think it is. Then I'm more feeling than thinking, but I'm again a little bit more in the middle there. And then I'm more judgmental there. So I tend to take that test and do that for people. I'm not sure if I believe in zodiac signs fully, but I still I know that people tend to think of people in certain ways based on zodiac signs. So I will tend to say somebody is a zodiac sign because people will kind of come to their own conclusions about what that means. So although I do feel like it's a little artificial, well, not a little, a lot. I still will use that as a way to like get people to have a general idea. But also, The Sims does a great job of giving you the ability to create their aspirations and traits, and then that really helps you in being
Mhm.
able to determine who that person is. And so, for the Disney Sims, it was easy with my Disney characters because you have, well, actually, with all of my characters, none of them are completely original to me unless it's some of the children that they have in the future. So in those situations, it's just about taking what I have and then trying to build on that. And I try to, like for example, one of my characters, if they're mean or childish or something, have some kind of trait, I try to play off that, and so I want that to make sense for them.
No, that totally makes sense. I would have never thought of doing that test to get that like characters, but I get it with the zodiac signs because they were like
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, no, no. And they're like, that's such a Leo response, and I'm like, okay, cool, I guess. Are you a
Are you a Leo?
I am a Leo.
Yes, that actually does make sense. Star of the show and doesn't care about this shit.
I remember my stepmom once told me, she's like, people don't think you're nice. And I'm like, nice bitches don't get shit done. I think they think you're mean. And I'm like, okay. Is that supposed to offend me? I'm too confident for my own good. But no, I love that because again, when you're going into characters, it's like a kitchen. You can't have 5 sous chefs. That doesn't make sense. You have to have different characters are literally there to build up other characters or to tear them down. So I do like that development. And how you do that, it's really smart because that's how you make a good character because then you believe their motives. And I think that's a whole, you have to believe what the character is doing. If you don't believe what the character is doing, then no one else is going to believe what the character is doing.
No, exactly.
I love it. Okay, what character do you relate the most to and why?
Oh, that's a good one too. I
Yeah.
do try to, I feel like I put myself into a little bit of all of my characters to a certain extent. But probably Micah, Ika. She's again one of the free spirits from from there. She's a writer, has friends, but is a bit introverted by nature unless she's around people that really bring out some extroversion in her. So yeah, I'd say I probably relate to her the most.
Okay, I like that. I can see that. I see that for you. What scene was the hardest to write so far, and why?
So yeah, I do get into a little bit more mature themes in Townie Tales, and so when it gets into anything, well, I mean, some of like the consensual things are fun to do, but I do have a few mature themes or something that go through probably because I have my own experiences growing up that I like to maybe put into my own stories as some kind of an outlet. So if you see, not that I have dad issues, but maybe I have male issues. And some of that maybe comes out in my story. So there's, a certain Gregorius Lundvik, an evil werewolf that is trying to imprint on a senior in high school. Although I won't let anything happen there, it still feels really icky and gross that an old man is trying to go after a high school senior. I'm really doing it to create, some angst within her other relationship with Wolfgang Munch. I'm talking about Luna Villarreal, by the way. I didn't mention that part. Sorry for lack of context. But yeah, so those two are both teenage townies, and Luna has just found out in my story, spoiler, that she's a werewolf. And she looks an awful lot like Evelina Lundvik, who is Gregorius Lundvik's wife. And that's all actually part, well, Luna's not Evelina's story in the lore, but Evelina is part of the werewolf lore within The Sims, or Mooncasters. Sorry, that's a lot.
That was a lot. That was a
That was a
lot.
lot.
I
There's a
love.
lot of lore. I will say what I tend to do is I have something called my transcript section. So I will go into different lore and I will show where I found this information from the Sims universe, and I'll post it alongside with what I did to show the lore. But it's really hard to talk about because it's so big. You really have to have interest in it to understand it. It's kind of like that not so berry stuff. Like, you know, the people who are into it get it, and the
Yes.
people who don't.
Girl, I got you. See, the lore is fascinating because I love that, and I think that was something that was like really missing in the last couple versions of the Sims game, was the drama, was the lore, was the storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah, with the Disney Sims, I've really tried to get into Bella Goth's story, and I love Bella Goth. There's so many like hidden gems within the lore. Like, why did she disappear? With Don Lothario, what? And that happened in the previous Sims 3, or I believe, not in Sims 4, where the Calientes and Don Lothario and all of them came in. But yeah, there's this big lore around it, and it doesn't ever fully get explored. The Calientes, if you dive into it, are related to pollination technicians, which are aliens from Sixum. And yeah, there's like this whole world in The Sims that people don't know about, that if you go into it, it's freaking fascinating.
I wish that was translated into the game. I feel like it's like a movie versus a book kind of situation going on here.
Yeah.
And I think
there's so much to be explored. It's all in there. And so, for example, in the werewolves, the Mooncasters, sorry, Lily, who is part of Moonwood Collective, she's the elder that lives with the Volkov father and son. She's related to the Vitor twins. So Lilith and Caleb, they're cousins with Lily, the werewolf, who's an elder, but they're young adults. And yeah, there's so many crossovers that people don't even know unless they just go in and Google it. Or, well, I guess Lily's story, I believe, is like within the expansion. You can read about it.
Okay, so I gotta ask this. So as someone who knows zero lore, is any of that really talked about when you play Townies? Like, does like
yeah, I try in my story, I try to bring it up as much as possible, no, without it becoming too like, you know, too down your throat, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to become like a lecture. It has to fit into the story organically, or I'll leave it out. Right. But yeah, I try to tie in the lore as much as possible, but I'll also create other dynamics. Like, I've created people being siblings or cousins with each other, even though they're not considered that in the game, just to
okay, I got you. See, this is what The Sims, like, I don't I'm shocked that there's not been like the Sims movie or the Sims show. Like, I mean, like, the show was very different. I'm talking like, I'm shocked because there was a Sims movie in development for many years, and then it just never went anywhere. It just kind of, I think it just got turned over so many times that no one wanted to pick it up. I kind of feel like this lore could be a fucking HBO Max special.
It could be, even if they just focused on Willow Creek characters, and like Bob Pancakes and Bella Goth are enough to make a TV show.
Yeah. Oh, fucking 100%.
Actually, even like Travis Summer and Liberty Lee, like, they would also be an interesting story too. Yeah. Like, you could literally go in, like, you know, from Willow Creek, go into those characters. There's so many fascinating characters. Oasis Springs, the land grabs are freaking awesome. Even the roommates within Oasis Springs are based off the New Girl characters. Like, there's so many just little hidden gems there.
They could do like an American Horror Story style. Each season focus on one town.
Yeah. Well, I'm not quite doing that with Townie Tales, but I will say, for example, because I am a few seasons into creating Townie Tales, my next step is to go into the realm of magic and have more of that tied into it. And so I find that there's some similarities there between you know the realm of magic and Harry Potter for sure. So
Oh yeah. Okay, before I
yeah.
move on to the next question, what townie is overrated and why?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot.
that's also a hard question. Um, oh, I don't, Judith Ward, maybe.
Judith Ward. Okay.
Just
Okay.
throwing it out there. I love all of them. It's really hard for like I could probably if you named any townie right now, I could probably just go into talking about why I love them. So, and even as I said, Judith, I felt bad putting her name out there because there are things I like about Judith. So
I got you. Okay, my
yeah,
answer is not going to be, you're gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm gonna justify it. I think Bella Goth is extremely overrated. But the reason I'm saying this is because she is, if you asked a generic sim player who is your favorite simmer, they would say Bella Goth, but not 100% understand the lore and stuff. She's just a very common name. It's kind of like a Pikachu situation. What's
yeah,
your favorite Pokemon? Pikachu. Who's your favorite sim? Bella Goth, Bob Pancake, because like we just know the name. Who's your favorite
yeah,
Sailor Scout? Sailor Moon, right? So like I think it's, you got to get to the next level of being like, okay, so like my basic bitch is Bella, but then I
yeah.
also like X, Y, and Z and X, Y, and Z. So that's my answer. I just think
And
it's
in
the
your
safe
defense,
answer. Yes.
she also I feel like is kind of supposed to be a version of like Morticia Adams a little bit. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like she definitely kind of gives knockoff Morticia Adams vibes.
Yes. Okay. I have to ask you this. Did you watch Wednesday?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Did you like Catherine Zeta-Jones playing Morticia? Because I fucking did.
I would say like the 90s TV show was my favorite version of
Yes.
Morticia. And I have a hard time seeing anybody else but her as Morticia. I like that Catherine Zeta-Jones was the like oldest person to play Morticia. I do think that like in terms of age, like they had it
Yeah.
more correct. I thought they did a really great job with Gomez too.
Oh, yes.
And I liked the dynamic of him. Like I thought it was believable that he was obsessed with Catherine as Morticia. So yeah, like I don't know, I didn't dislike her as Morticia, but she also, I think because Gomez was such a, and I know a lot of people weren't crazy about him as Gomez, but when you take a look at the original version of the cartoon Gomez, he was spot
Spot
on, and
on.
like how he would like the pet names he had for Wednesday and how he loved Morticia. I just felt like he was bang on.
Yep.
I thought they just had so many other bang on characters like Fred Armiston
Yes.
as Chester. The thing is that everybody else they casted was freaking 10,
Spot on.
and even Wednesday 10 out of 10,
Yep.
right? And not even, it's like an unfaithful adaptation that made it better sort of thing. So it wasn't even that we got it right based on history. It was we revamped this and we did a better job.
Yeah.
And Catherine Zeta-Jones just didn't bring that energy to her role. And so of course she's just not going to hold up the way the other characters did, in my opinion.
I could not agree more. I felt like everyone did such an amazing job, and she couldn't match the feat of her.
No.
I just like, I found her boring. Every time
Yeah.
she was on I was like,
But
oh, boring. But I know that's the character.
yeah, and I also felt like it made more sense for the dynamic within her and Wednesday because Wednesday has more animosity towards her mom than she does her dad, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Another thing that did me in is whoever did the makeup for her really needed to fill those eyebrows in.
Yeah, yeah,
That
agree.
did, I was like, where are her eyebrows?
Mm-hmm.
Because I finished watching, I'm a huge National Treasure fan. Like that was
Yeah.
like my shit. So there's a National Treasure show on Disney Plus where Catherine Zeta-Jones
Yep.
and the Gomez are in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, is that Gomez? Gomez? Steal this from Wednesday? I was expecting Wednesday just to show up being like, pranked fuckers.
Yeah.
And I was like, she clearly has eyebrows in fucking National Treasure. Where's her eyebrows here? Because like
Exactly.
that's something that I was so like, her face was so defined by the big dark black eyebrows. I understand that I'm being superficial and shallow here, but that's how I picture her.
It's the look.
It's the look. It's the defining. But yeah, the 90s. Chef's kiss. I'm so excited for season 2. Whenever season 2 comes out.
Me too.
See, the thing is,
it'll happen.
Stupid Netflix. Are you keeping Netflix? Are you gotta go?
I don't know. If I get booted, I get booted.
I'm the gatekeeper. I'm the decision maker, and I have 2 days to figure out who stays on and who leaves. For any other context for anyone else in the world, we got the short end of the straw. So Netflix is no longer allowing you to share passwords in Canada, New Zealand, and Saudi Arabia, I believe, are the 3 countries that they've really started. They tried doing it in the US and it backfired within a second. So I don't understand why they're like, let's just do it to Canada instead. You have to pay a stupid amount of money, and then you have to pay $7.99 a month to have 2 people carried on. You can't have more than 2 accounts. Well, I have 4 people on. So everyone's like, Jen, you gonna figure it out? And I'm like, give me a minute. It's
Speaking
not
of which,
yeah, because I'm like, it has to roll back. Like it has to, because so many people are canceling.
Yeah, exactly. This podcast was not brought to you by uTorrent.
Oh my god, I'm gonna die. 100%. Like you can torrent half this shit now. Like Netflix, you gotta calm down. Paying $23.99 a month and then adding 214. Like I'm paying like almost $50 to have Netflix. Like you can fuck off. You can fuck off with that. Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Anyways, Townie tales. Okay, so what has been your favorite scene to write and why?
Ooh, I'm a sucker for love triangles, baby.
I love that.
I have my teenage love triangle where the focus is around Wolfgang Munch, who is he's not a great guy. He's a bit of a mean, dastardly dude, but for some reason, Yuki Bear and Luna Villarreal are a sucker for this guy. So we'll see how that goes. And then Candy Bear, my DJ and young adult, has a thing for DJs, and she's hooked up with pretty much every DJ in the city, but she's non-committal. So we'll see where that ends up taking her. So I love writing those scenes because, especially with Candy, Joaquin Lachine and Paulo Rocca are, pretty smitten with her. And then she also has a background with Dominic Fires, who used to be her manager. And she was best friends with his daughter, Siobhan. So Siobhan has a romance with Sergio Romeo, who is Joaquin's cousin. Try to keep up.
Girl. No, I like a good love triangle. It's got to be done right though, because I will say it is a trope that's used a lot.
Oh, it's a trope for sure.
It's a trope, right?
I'm not above tropes.
I'm not saying you're not, but it's just got to be done right, because you gotta love both fucking characters. She'd be like, well, who is she gonna pick? Because like yes. No, go ahead.
I'm very much trying to do that as well. So like Yuki's obviously my star, and so I've set it up in the first half of the season that her and Wolf have done missions together because they work for Jax Villarreal. But Wolfgang also bodyguards a bit for Jax and is a bit of a security guy for Jax, and so he naturally has been around Jax's daughter Luna, and Luna wouldn't really give Wolf the time of day publicly because she's a snob, but she has started to undergo werewolf transitioning, and Wolf was the person there to help her. And so she starts off as a bit of a childish character, and she still is, but Wolf sees past that and helps her. And so there's a bit of a dynamic between those two, because I would find, Yuki is very smart. Yuki doesn't really make dumb decisions. And so she really wants what's best for Wolf, and doesn't like that Wolf is getting suspended and being, a bit of a bad guy. And so she tries to make Wolf better. Whereas Wolf is obsessed with Luna because Luna is, a magical creature.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask this. So as a
Yeah.
storyteller, when you're writing a love triangle, do you pick the character, like, so say your main Yuki, who has to pick, would you pick someone that you want the audience for her to fall in love with, or would you pick who you would want?
Well, I feel like even now I don't have it fully established who their endgame people are. And so Yuki, has only really had eyes for Wolfgang Munch up until this point. But I've laid out little tidbits here and there that Hugo Villarreal is also interested in Yuki. And so in the second season, we'll see more of Hugo's affections towards Yuki and see what goes on there. So I try to bring other characters in that bring out different things in that character. And then I really want the audience to really have a hard decision in who they want them with. And sometimes maybe none of them are really great for them either. I find that maybe in Candy's case with the 3 DJs that she's around, like none of them really would give enough for her to want to commit to any 3 of them at this point. So, you know what I mean? Like, she's kind of keeps them at a distance and, just uses them for affection. Right. And I like that that's kind of a role reversal, because a lot of the time it tends to be like men with multiple women not knowing who to choose, like it's some kind of a bachelor thing. And it's, in my situation, it's like Candy is not in that predicament, right? She has guys that she probably could make any of them except Dominic, because he's married, her boyfriend, but she just doesn't think either of them bring enough to the table to take them seriously.
I like that. It's true though.
Yeah.
It's true. And especially as a female character, you want them to be happy. You want, at the end of the day, you want your characters to be happy, or you don't. It depends on the character. But if it's especially love interest, you want them to end up with who you want them to be with. Okay, I got a couple more questions. Sure. We're gonna wrap her up. How would you describe this Townie Tales in one word, and why?
Dramatic.
Good word. And why dramatic, may I ask?
Because I feel like that is more the goal for me than happiness, like we just talked about. I don't know if happiness is my goal for all of these characters, except for Ulrich and Micah. I feel like those are the only ones that I'm invested in.
Hey, but that's okay. That makes sense. That really it makes 100% sense. You can't have every character have a happy ending. Only the characters you want to have a happy ending have a happy ending.
Yeah,
now,
I feel like I have them as my couple that I'm never gonna break up, and then sorry for what happens to anybody else.
What if they did break up? What if you're just like, you know what, I want to cause chaos?
No, I wouldn't do that to them. But what I have done is, so Ulrich, actually, before she dated or is married to Micah, when she was a teenager to younger adult, she was dating Rory Oaklow, who is a werewolf from Moonwood Mill. Anyway, they have history. And so although I show Ulrich and Micah getting married in the first season, in like season 3, we'll go into her as a teenager being with Rory. And so I've kind of done that in other cases with my Disney Channel too, where like I show Belle and Adam being together from the very first season, but I've done flashbacks where you show that Prince Adam actually used to date Snow White. for a little bit. Even in my new I'm doing a little mini series on my Disney channel where it's just showing off Snow White and what she's been doing in Henford. And we touch base on her being with Adam the Beast for a little bit in between because she was married to his brother, Florian. I really love drama. And
You do.
love triangles, apparently.
But like that's the whole point. You want drama. You want something that's going to reel your characters in. And it could be a love triangle. It could be two characters not liking each other. It could be characters getting their comeuppance. I have so much fun writing backstories.
Me too.
Now, I have to ask, when it comes to writing a backstory, how do you start and where do you end?
Yeah, well, I guess it's different for different people, and it's also how much are you going to dive into that. So I found, for example, with the Bear sisters, first things first, it's very easy for me to go in and just, Sims Wikipedia who these characters are and try and take as much information out of that as possible to bring into their character. And then also, like, for example, the Bear sisters, Yuki, the name Yuki sounded, very Asian to me. I went and Googled it and it was a Japanese name. And so I was like, okay, Googled this a little bit more. And I was like, okay, so I think in my mind, because their last name is Bear, that their dad was German and their mom was Japanese. And so, you know what I mean? I have to go into that part of their story. And so in my world, I would consider Mount Komorebi to be, the comparison to Japan. So in my mind, that's where they came from. And so, you know what I mean? Like it can dive into that there. And then, you'll have an example with the Villarreals. It mentions in the household information that their mother went missing. Well, why did their mother go missing? And, just trying to fill in those gaps there. And there's a lot of people who in the Sims, like, they have a parent with multiple children, but then the dad just doesn't exist in that storyline. And I'm just like, okay, can I bring the dad in some way? Why is he no contact within that game? What happened? Right? Because a lot of the time that absence of information can create, a story for you to fill in those gaps. And that's when it really becomes, unique to what you're doing, especially when you're playing with characters that you haven't originally made.
I think that's really good because it comes to backstory. I feel like backstories are endless. You can literally do whatever you want from start to finish. And like it's nice that like there is a lore to start, but then you can take the lore and make it your own. Kind of like you said, right? So I think that's very, very cool. Now, the thing I super appreciate in this story is what I like to call the sweet, sweet lovemaking scenes. I do appreciate, thank you so much for not making it the first slide or, just be like sweet, sweet word, because there's nothing worse when I'm at work and all I see is that sweet Sims porn.
Not safe for work.
Not safe for work. I have to ask this, as I've now started to get some sweet, sweet love poses for Rose Chronicles. Are you using Wicked Whims or are you downloading poses?
No, I actually intentionally do not have Wicked Whims. And I don't, everything that you see, if it looks like they're naked, I'm doing a really good job hiding the undergarments that I have on there. I'm intentionally doing it though. I do know how to go in and make that not happen.
Yes.
But I'm trying to keep myself in a category in which I'm not, creating, not that there's anything, I've watched plenty of Sims things out there that are not safe for work and I enjoy them. But it's just not fully it's not my brand.
That's what I was going to ask you. Cause it's like, don't know if I need to see Sims boobs. Like I'm really good.
You won't be seeing any boobs in my world. Maybe some cleavage or some under boob, right? You keep it sexy.
Yeah, but, I think that's sexy. Just have like a little line, or just have.
But I watch things with, I do like when they put the heads up out there. I do think that that's important. It's hard to maneuver though, but I do. I try to keep it PG for me, although I do think I sometimes kind of slip into the maybe rated R category because you can very much tell that they're doing something, but you can't see anything.
You're not gonna do the hand on the wall or the hand on the. I'm trying to find a pose where they're like
It's
grabbing
the
the
hands
sheets.
clawed into the back, right? I
Yeah.
have one of those images. So I mean, yeah. It does get a little intense sometimes, but
Yeah, it's also intense when you have to find those poses because you gotta like go in incognito mode. You gotta do everything because you don't want to know what you see. I've seen
I
a
highly
lot.
recommend Simmer Irene. They do a lot of like different poses, and they're usually like, for me, a lot of my scenes tend to be very romantic because I won't really show any scenes that aren't coming from a place of romance. I don't like glorifying anything that isn't consensual. So
Yeah,
if I'm talking about it, I try to wrap it up very quickly in a conversation as opposed to having to show anything. I don't even like showing like a forceful kiss or something, which is really hard as a Disney person
I just say, girl,
to
every
do.
kiss at the beginning.
I know. You know, it's so crazy though, because like I would watch these, like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, whatever, and like, no trigger warnings for like a non-consensual kiss or whatever. But like, I feel like if I were to like post something like that, I feel like I would have to put some kind of like a trigger warning there for somebody because it could upset them to see somebody getting kissed if they're asleep and aren't aware that they're about to get kissed. And so yeah, it's really hard to maneuver around that. And so I try to play it safe and not show anything too graphic because I don't want to upset or, make somebody go to a place that they don't want to go to.
Yeah, I got you. Trigger. We
Yeah.
were talking before, and trigger warnings are interesting, to
Yeah.
say the least. The last thing you want to do is trigger somebody. It's hard. It is
Yeah.
hard. It's hard. Some trigger warnings, I'm gonna say this so PCly, are unnecessary. In
Yeah.
my opinion, this is not a fact. You can hate me all you want, but some trigger
Or
warnings.
inform, right? If there's an
Yeah,
example of it's not, I'm totally open to hearing,
yeah.
I'm always open to learning and growing for sure.
Like a good one. I don't know. I released a lot of Rose Chronicles. This is coming out in June. You'll see the big stuff coming out. But there's this
Yeah.
one where like Oliver kisses Lux's head, like I love you, like good night, and someone's like, well, she didn't ask to be kissed. I'm like, are you? It's a good night kiss. He kissed him. They're together now. It's not
Yeah.
unwarranted. He's literally about to go to bed. He's just like, "Mwah, love you," and then
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you needed a trigger warning to that. I'm sorry. I will do better in the future to
Yeah.
indicate that better. But in my mind, I wouldn't find that triggering because they are in a committed relationship.
Yeah.
Now, if that was like Damon or something, I would have been like, yo, fucking slide 7 guys, like, oh, watch out. But that's different. It's different. And in the original Rose Chronicles at fall, actually, it was winter formal, it wasn't fall formal. As Alexa's lying in bed, he kisses her, and I shot the shit out of that because I was like, that's weird. I don't know why I wrote that like 10 years ago. That doesn't make sense for the story where I'm taking it. That I would have put a trigger warning for. I've been like, listen, gross shit's coming.
Yeah.
Right? But like him staring at her, people are like, trigger warning. I'm like, he's staring at her. She's passed out. So again, trigger warnings can be very.
They're hard to maneuver for sure. And the thing is like we're constantly growing, right? And so it's going to evolve into something different every other,
Yeah,
every other change that we go through.
I agree. Anyways, I got a couple more questions, and we're gonna wrap her up. What advice would you give to anyone who wants to start their own story?
Uh, take some time at first to really kind of brainstorm what you want to do and be okay that not all of that information is going to get out to your viewers. You're going to be the most invested in your story more than anybody else's, period. That's just the reality of the situation. You're going to know little tidbits of those characters and your audience won't pick up on that, and that's okay. It can be as detailed as you want it to be. And if if there's a character that you're having a hard time really diving into. Maybe, you know, that character is only meant to be secondary to you. Move, like if it doesn't feel right, move on. Because I've been stuck in so many situations where I just feel like I can't move on because I feel like something has to be done a certain way. And it's like, if it doesn't feel right, just move on. Yeah. And so, you know, just get started and be okay to put yourself out there. Also go take a look at other stories that you enjoy, and not, you know, don't follow those storylines, but like, you know, for example, how somebody will lay out a page, you can look at that and be like, I like how they do
Hmm.
that. I like how, you know, you can adopt different ways of doing things through seeing how it looks with other people, but, you know, not mimicking, but
Hmm.
just, you know, taking a look and seeing what works for you. Like, do you like things to be in a square post? How do you want, there's so many little background things that go into writing a story, and you have to dive into those details before you actually even have anything to post about, right? You need to know what your style is. Are you going to logo your things, right? Like what does it look like,
Hmm.
right? And just trying. And also you can get started, and have some of those things happen after the fact too. You don't have to have all of those ideas created at once before you go. If you want to just jump in and start sharing screenshots, of things. Like I know so many people who started off just sharing screenshots, and now they basically have like production level posts going on. So, you know, there's no right way for anybody. It's just, if you have a passion towards it, get started.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
could not agree more. I've read a lot of advices in the last little bit. That has to be the most spot on, accurate advice to any storyteller that's starting off. It's it get do research, see what
Yeah.
you want. Like
Yeah.
if
Do you want
you,
your text in the image or in the captions? Are
yeah,
you going to do like a single POV character? Or are you going to be script style? You know what I mean? Like there's so many
mhm,
ways to write a story. And yeah, it's just about getting started. But again, even if you don't fully know what you want to write about, like there's nothing wrong with, I know so many people who have rebranded and like have just archived all of their stories and
mhm.
started I haven't done that. I've stayed just keeping all my stuff going. But I know a lot of people, will just completely start over. And like, I'm here for them. I'm here for the new story.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it can get boring writing the same
Yeah.
story over and over and over again because you want change, or you would have been like,
Yeah.
I don't like this, I wish I would have done something. Is Oh yeah, this, like, the storyteller community is very awesome. They're very,
Yeah.
very dedicated, and they love each other. I mean, we love each other,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah.
So definitely really, really good advice. That's something I did straight from the gate. I was like, I want to do something a little different,
Yeah.
and I did.
I would say with like where the reason maybe I don't branch off and start new things so much, is because I have so many characters to work with, that if I'm
Yeah.
getting bored of one, I can just be like, okay, time to work on a new storyline until I feel inspired to write about that character again.
Hmm.
And so it's easier for me, I think, because there's so many people in my universe. But I know so many people who focus on one character or do some kind of a legacy challenge, and their whole story revolves around one character. So I understand wanting to move to a new generation, because you're, you know, tired of going through the same thing with one character.
Yeah, you can get bored very easy, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Now, final question. As Maggie Simpson said at the end of the Simpsons movie sequel, will there ever be a sequel to Townie Tunes or a prequel to Townie Tunes? Oh my
Um,
God,
Townie tune it,
you
or
did not. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Townie
dude,
Tales.
our relationship is not that fragile.
I
It's
know.
okay. And it's a tongue twister. Um, yeah, so there already is little examples. I'm a big fan of flashbacks. I do flashbacks within the Disney Sims and Townie Tales. So you'll see that too. Um, yeah, so yeah, I definitely do prequels and flashbacks, and I also go into the future, and certain people have kids. So yeah, no, I no plans on changing that there. I will say I probably will branch out into doing more like, a different part of the Sims world as opposed to just staying in Windenburg. But I feel like I already do that. Like with Windenburg cast, they've already gone to Moonwood Mill. They'll go to other places too, like Mount Komorabi and different things like that. So yeah.
Very, very, very nice. I like a good sequel or prequel. Okay, what do you like writing more? Flash forwards or flashbacks?
Uh Flashbacks.
Flashbacks. I agree. They're so much fun because you're like you can see how the character is like, oh,
Yeah.
how did that happen? How did you
I
go from
love
there to
making
there?
like teenagers children and like their
Yes.
children or like or even like in the Disney Sims, like I've done a toddler version of Briar Rose and she's so cute and yeah.
I love I'm working on a special little project for Rose Chronicles and I have different ages for everybody and it is so cute to see them
Oh,
interacting with each other because I'm all the same household, right? I got all the Alexis and all the Olivers of all the ages.
it's so
And
cute.
I'm like, oh, he's so cute. I was posting a photo yesterday. I was like, oh fuck, you can see a baby all over in the background. Hold on. Delete that. Sorry.
No.
But anyways, Disney Sims, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming back here today. Why don't we tell everybody where we can find Townie Tales?
Boom. So follow me at Townie Tales on Instagram, and then also the Disney Sims on Instagram and TikTok and EA if you want to download any of my townies or some builds. Not really many builds. I don't really download those.
I love that. Please go check out Townie Tales and please go check out the Disney Sims. Absolute amazing story. Absolute pleasure you coming back here today. Oh my gosh, girl, 11 times.
Love you.
I love you too. Well, anyways, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming here today. And I cannot wait to see how the rest of the season unfolds. As well, I got to self plug here. If you liked this, please go check out the podcast page where you will see written interviews of storytellers. I created this new series called Story Spotlight with Stassi J. It is a written interview series where interviews come out every Sunday, so please look out to those. I've had over 50 summers that said yes. So I will have new interviews come out every Saturday. This was the first occasion of it being an audio instead of a written. If you would like to do an audio version, please DM me or email me. The links will be below. I want to shine a spotlight on storytellers as I feel they are very left out, as builders and cast always gets the most love and they are great as well. But storytellers deserve a moment in the sun, and I hope to give every storyteller a moment in the sun. So please, please, please go check those out. And Disney Sims, girl after my own heart. Okay, I love you.
Love you, Sis.
Okay, love you, Sis. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.